Three, two, one.
Happy Monday, Judah.
Happy Monday, Josh.
What's up, Facebook? Welcome to the Build and Grow with Real Estate Daily Facebook podcast.
Absolutely. How is it going? I got to tell you, man, you can't beat weather like this. My shutdown routine has kind of been work hard in the morning, especially on Mondays, getting caught up on anything that came in over the weekend that I might have missed, but work hard in the morning, do these shows at noon, and then go sit in my backyard with a good book for at least half an hour, 45 minutes to an hour. So
I love that. And you know what? I got a red
and then
shirt.
back to work. You know what I mean? Then back to work. But like I am intentionally sitting outside and enjoying this weather. And I think I got out of the habit of taking a lunch break. And I think that I might start instituting that again once, even after this shutdown. Like really just walking away from the office for an hour and going from there.
So it looks like I have a red shirt on right now.
It does.
I got so sunburned this weekend. I mean, Saturday afternoon, I go out, I'm hanging out by the pool, and I'm thinking, oh, it's the afternoon, the sun's not that strong. Whew. Yesterday, I woke up and my whole body was like a lobster.
Nice.
So it was
How
awesome.
long were you out for?
I don't know, 3 hours, something like
Oh,
that.
my goodness.
I wasn't sunbathing or anything like that, but you sit in the sun, you hang out, you talk, and next thing you know, it's Sunburn City. But yeah, so be it. That's okay. It's fun stuff.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
So dude, I got to tell you speaking of fun stuff, not so fun stuff, we can't talk about this much or long because no matter what we say, we are going to piss off the wrong people or the right people. And everybody is mad and everybody's got differing opinions. This weekend, I mean, just
like riots.
The National Guard was called out to 15 different cities.
Okay.
I mean, it wasn't just that there was a lot of protesting.
Yeah.
The National Guard was this. We're not talking a little graffiti here, a little bit of brick throwing.
I know. The shopping district in Philadelphia is totally trashed. I mean, to the point where I'm watching a reporter take a video of water coming down the stairs from a building that is, that 2 days earlier people were sitting in and eating at McDonald's. So, right. I mean, there's some really serious damage that went on. I got a take on this that I don't think is going to be controversial for anybody.
Okay, great. I would love to hear it.
I think that people, I think that one underlying foundational point of everything that's gone on for the last probably 2 months is that one big takeaway, whether you're a Republican or a Democrat, liberal or conservative, if you think that the COVID is taking over the world or not, if the government's too big. The government is too big. It's grown to a point where people are afraid of the cops, white or black. I mean, like, listen.
So, Josh, let me get this straight. Your non-controversial point and your non-controversial take on this is hold your nose and vote Republicans.
No.
That's
no. I don't think the Republicans are a small government party anymore.
Right.
I mean, Trump increased the national debt by such an obscene amount. It kills me because you know what? I think the guy has done some great things as a president. I also think he's nuts, and I also think that like on as a small government guy, I think it's terrible that my kids are going to be paying for these bailouts, and a $1,200 check costs $18,000.
Well, let me ask you, who was it? I think I should have had this quote, but which of our founding fathers was it? Was it Jefferson or was it Madison who said, "I love my country, but I'm afraid of my government"? Or was that Washington?
Look, a government that can put you in handcuffs and kneel on your throat and kill you in front of live cameras everywhere is too big.
Right.
It's insane.
Yep.
I mean, like the one thing that I think that people don't realize when they talk about government is that government is made up of a bunch of people. And there are corrupt people in every group, every subgroup of humanity. And like the bigger it gets, the more probability you're going to have that you're going to have corrupt people with power over you. I mean, and like, this goes on the other side too. I mean, we got people, we were at the Reopen PA protests, a month and a half ago, and we have people that are probably more right-wing voting that are protesting because the government is strong enough to shut down business, to put the brakes on the largest economy in the world, to the point where our unemployment goes from like sub 5% to 25% in 2 months. Like, there's something wrong here. And
no, I agree. I think yes, I think that you are absolutely right. But there was also good news this weekend. We were geeking out about it on Friday. SpaceX successfully launched, and that is great for private sector and great for real estate on the moon and real estate on Mars. Wouldn't it be great to talk about doing deals on Mars someday?
I know. I mean, it's made. Okay, so I don't know if you remember when SpaceX and you had Virgin
Galactic, Virgin Intergalactic,
whatever. And there's a couple other people in that space where the whole idea was like, hey, commercial flights into space, it'll be really cool. Well, hey, we're here. Like, it could really happen. It's pretty awesome.
Absolutely. Yeah, I think that there's a whole lot of good and interesting things that are going to come out of this. I think that we are, despite what we saw this weekend and this week, and I think that there is real and meaningful change coming, not only in policies and procedures, but also in hearts and minds, which is great, because I do not hear a whole lot of callousness or resistance to a difference of approach in a lot of different things. And I see that the weather and the stock market and the real estate market, there is all kinds of optimism and positivity moving forward.
That's right. So speaking of moving forward, right? Our topic today is a little bit different than it's marketing related, but I think it's more like, stop sitting on your hands, taking notes, studying books and all that stuff. All of it's important, but our focus today is talking about taking action, like right now.
Right, and I think that so first of all, great show opening. 7.5 minutes to introduce the show and also cover the news. So we are right on track. The what we do now is we pivot into content for what we're talking about. And I think that this week, one of the things that we're going to cover heavily is getting started and taking action, like Josh said. And step one to getting started is just get started. Just take action. A lot of people, it's a subconscious thought. It doesn't even rise to a conscious level. What they're afraid of is, I don't want to do what it takes to get the phone ringing, because once the phone rings, I'm going to have to answer it. Yep. And when I talk to those people, I don't want to betray myself as not being the expert. I don't want them to see that I don't know what it is that I'm talking about, or that I'm a fraud. That imposter syndrome is what people are afraid of.
Well, and Judah, on that note, right? People are afraid of the whole idea that they're a fraud, or finding out that they've never done anything, or this is their first deal, or haven't even done a deal before. Who cares? You don't know. Those people don't know you. You could make a fake name. Make up.
This is the definition of fake it till you make it, by the way. Right. Fake it till you make it is act as if. Act as if you were a successful real estate investor. Send out postcards as if you were a successful real estate investor. They're going to get that postcard, or they're going to see your bandit sign, or they're going to see your flyer, or whatever. When they see those things, they are going to assume that you're successful. Yep. Your fear is they're going to assume I'm successful until I open up my mouth and betray myself. By the way, assuming you're successful just means assuming that you have successfully completed transactions, not that you are a quadrillionaire.
Right.
The other thing is that you need to remember is as soon as you've had 2 or 3 phone conversations with people, as soon as you have taken 2 or 3 of those phone calls, you're the expert. Let's say Josh calls me. I did a flashy mailer for Josh, and Josh is somebody who calls me. As a result, he's a motivated seller. Josh has done 1 or 2 transactions in his life. I've done none or 1 transactions in my life. But as soon as I've had 2 or 3 phone calls, I'm the expert talking to Josh because
Yeah.
I've had more real estate conversations and more real estate information and real estate activity than what Josh has.
Yeah.
And so when you're more successful than people, when you're more knowledgeable than people, when you're more confident than people, they pick up on that. And they don't know whether you've done a bazillion more deals than them or just had 2 or 3 more real estate conversations with them. That's all it takes. Fake it till you make it is not pretend to be rich until you are. Fake it till you make it is not tell your friends and family you have 80 rental properties when you don't. That's fake and false. Fake it till you make it is not going to the Ferrari dealership, taking out a car on a test drive and parking it someplace and leaning on it as if it's yours. That's fraud. None of that is fake it till you make it. Fake it till you make it has gotten a really bad rap because people misunderstand what it is. Fake it till you make it is a personal mindset that I'm going to have the confidence to take and make the marketing activity needed to be successful in the real estate world.
And if you're sitting there and saying to yourself, what if they ask me a question I don't have an answer to, or ask me about something specific and I have no idea what to say. So think about the worst case scenario here, right? Judah asks me about okay, so I'm a pretty good cook. I cook almost every night, and over this COVID.
Do you really?
Oh yeah, man.
Do you follow me on Facebook? Are you seeing all the wonderful stuff I post?
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, I mean, I made bagels this weekend. Like that's not a 1.0,
Yeah.
right? Like, and they were good. They were good bagels. So the point being, I have a pretty good background. My brother-in-law is a high-end chef, and like he's imparted a bunch of knowledge to me. And my father-in-law is a really good cook. So bottom line is, I know a lot about cooking. There is so much more that I don't know. Judah, if you're asking me about making a souffle, I have no idea. None whatsoever. Why would I be embarrassed to admit that?
Right.
Yet, if we get into a real estate space, all of a sudden, I'm supposed to know everything about everything. No, it doesn't work like that. If you do 5 deals in your life, if you buy and sell 5 deals, excuse me, let's say you do 10 in your life, right? You're a real estate investor. You do 10 transactions. You are double of what people do in their entire lifetime.
Right.
Double. But 10 is not so many that you're going to deal with every single situation under the sun. So like that's one worst case scenario. They just say, hey, I'm not sure. Let me check on that. I'll get back to you. But the other worst case scenario is, let's say somebody calls you up, and I've had this, screaming and yelling on the phone. How dare you contact me? You're a fraud. You're a scammer. You're a this, you're a that. Click.
Right.
Worst case scenario.
Right.
Not
yeah,
so
they
much.
can't. The line I always learned is they can't take your birthday away. June 18th is my birthday, and it's Father's Day weekend. It usually lines up. I'm going to have a great weekend that weekend, no matter what this irate person calls me up and says. No matter what ridiculous things they say to me, they can't take my birthday away. At the end of the day, we get off the phone and we decide not to do business with them. This is doing real estate transactions is one of the best things, because like in the mortgage world, when people called me, I had to sometimes turn them down, and they would legitimately be upset with me that, they would say that I was not doing a loan for them because they were a woman or because they were this. And I used to tell people all the time, like, I don't care if you're white, green, black, or plaid. I don't get paid until I get you money. Like I want to get you money, and still people, would get mad if I ever had to turn them down. In the property management business today, I have clients who are mad at me because their tenants are laid off and they can't pay rent, and they think it has something to do with how I manage the properties or how I screen people or how I put people, in that property. In the real estate world, the only thing, if you're a real estate investor, the only thing that they can really be mad at is that you are marketing to them or that you're contacting them or whatever. And really, your response to that is just, great. Sorry, it's not, you're not interested. Lots of people find my services valuable. If you're not interested, you could just go ahead and ignore it. I had one, little old guy call me up one time, and he was like, I want you to put me on your do not mail list. As if such a thing existed. And I said, okay, sir. It's just, what you're afraid of doesn't usually materialize and doesn't usually happen. I love what my sister Jana said here is, what would the person I want to be do today?
Yeah.
That is a great way to look at things. And here's the thing. So any marketing you do, if you do it consistently, I've written about this. My buddy Chris McGeady recently has written about this, that if your marketing idea was standing on the side of the road holding a sign, we buy houses.
Yep.
And you tracked how many phone calls you got. If you did that a day, you'd get 0 results. If you did it 2 or 3 days, you'd get a little bit better results. If you did it for a week, you'd get better results. Hold on, I'm going someplace with this. Then what you can do is you can start to introduce variables. What happens if I stand on a different road?
Yep.
What happens if I make my sign a different color? What happens if I stand on a different road holding a different sign at a different time of day? See, anything works in marketing as long as you do it consistently and you track your results. Now, eventually you should track, how many phone calls do you get to how many appointments do you get? How many appointments to how many no-shows versus shows? How many meaningful conversations? How many signed contracts? How many closed deals? Like, there's a lot of different things that you should track along the way. But at beginning, just track how many phone calls you're getting and how many deals you're doing. Break down your marketing. A lot of people, they don't ever take action on a marketing plan because they realize, they read all these marketing books and they find out all these different variables they should be tracking. Start by tracking 1 or 2 variables. Start by tracking 1 or 2 metrics. Start by tracking 1 or 2 points, of accomplishment in your sales funnel, and then add to it. Perfect good. Don't try to perfect 0 activity. Does that make sense?
Absolutely. So it's to piggyback on that, 2 things. Number one, I'm gonna recommend 2 books. Right now I'm reading Gary Vaynerchuk's Jab, 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 Punch. Really great with social marketing. The idea is that most people try to swing for the fences every single time. They try to get this massive return. And just like you're saying, it's like if you're standing in a chicken costume, standing on the side of the road at 3 a.m. and you don't get any phone calls on that sign, it's like, this doesn't work. Well, try it out a little bit differently. Change the color of your sign. Don't stand there at 3 a.m. Go there at 3 p.m. or go at noon. Change things up and, filter out what's not working to what is working. The other thing is, if you ever read, Tim Ferriss has a book called The 4-Hour Body. 4-Hour Workweek is a phenomenal business book. You should read it. It's a really easy read. But he also has a book called The 4-Hour Body that is about, it's about how to learn from outliers. But one thing that he talks about is a friend of his who lost 150 pounds just by counting calories. And the conversation in the book is, hey, look, calories are such a ridiculous way to evaluate health, right? I mean, like, you can either eat a chicken breast or a candy bar and they have the same amount of calories, but you don't get the same stuff from it. Right. But if you gotta start somewhere, start with the easiest thing to count.
Right.
Count the number of times the phone rings. Count the number of people who contact you who actually want to sell. Count the number of, whatever it is, just start one place. And then after you have a large enough data set, you can say, oh, well, you know what? The phone number doesn't, how many times the phone rings doesn't really matter. It's how many times somebody actually wants to sell. Okay, so we'll change that metric. But you have to start somewhere.
Right, 100%. And I remember one time my uncle, who just recently passed away, is one of my mentors in real estate. He could see that I was in this paralysis of analysis thing, and I'll shorten this story way up. But I was doing a lot of good activity, but I wasn't actually taking action.
Yeah.
And I was asking him to evaluate all this activity I was taking, but I wasn't taking action. And he said to me a line that stuck with me ever since. He said, you know what, Judah? Because I wanted guidance and direction, and I wanted his input on what I was doing. And he said, you know what, Judah? It's a whole lot easier to steer a moving car.
Yep.
And I realized, yeah. And that has been advice that I've tried to tell a whole bunch of people. When you first get in your GPS, something in your car and turn on your GPS, sometimes you're like, oh, okay, I go up right here. I go straight here and then I turn right. No, once you start moving, it thought you were facing the other direction, and then it has to recalibrate.
Yep.
So sometimes you don't know anything about who you are, what you can and can't do until you start taking action. You actually don't even know which direction you're facing. And some people are so worried about taking those first 2 steps wrong. I would rather those first 2 or 3 steps be 100% wrong, so you at least know you're going in the right direction. Ron LeGrand says, don't write a big check, you can't lose a big check. So I'm not asking you to buy the wrong property or anything like that, but there is a lot of action you can take, especially if you're doing no money down or low money down solutions. You are not going to be risking $20 or $30 or $40,000 on the wrong property. I remember one time I had done a very early on in my career. It was my second or third property, and it had and 3 to 6 months. I thought it was going to have about $100, $150 a month cash flow. About 3 to 6 months in, it had a negative $20 a month cash flow.
Yep.
And I had a business partner who was freaking out about this. And how can we be sure that we never do this again? And I said, no, like the way out of this is by having the next 2 or 3 deals pay for this mistake. And at the end of the day, if $20 a month on a deal that we paid nothing to get into I'd buy a $20 book on real estate every month and learn from it. I've got a deal. I've got a rental property under my belt, and I am learning lessons from it. So oftentimes the worst case scenario, unless you do something criminally malfeasant, you're not going to go broke on your first deal. Just take action.
Right. Just go out and do it.
Yeah.
All right. So what's that look like if you're just not sure? If you are having a hard time picking up the phone, or you're concerned about getting your script right, or whatever else it might be, and a lot of times for me, look, I talk to probably 50 people a day on lending, right? Like outbound, inbound, whatever. I'm on the phone several hours a day, but sometimes I just am not feeling it.
So put yourself in a position. I'm sorry. Was that a rhetorical question, or did you want me to answer that? I would say,
I'm saying if you got to get started, like if you are having trouble calling back real leads, and you're like, I don't want to screw this up, go on Craigslist, pick up the phone and call random people about them selling their house. Look for the stuff on Zillow. I mean, these people get a bazillion calls. They're going to tell you no. You're going to get the worst case scenario. Just take it. Then
you build up calluses. So my son plays guitar, and at first he loved it, and then he hated it for a while, and now he's got the calluses that he can play whenever he wants. Like, it actually takes calluses on your fingertips, your non-dominant hand, to be able to press down those chords. Here's the thing. When when you make these phone calls, it's like a boxer getting punched in the face if you're not used to sales calls. And it's going to be unpleasant and it's going to be difficult. And what you have to ask yourself is the pain of doing the push-ups worth the muscles? Is the pain of doing the crunches and the sit-ups worth the six-pack abs? Do I want the lifestyle and the freedom that come from being a real estate investor? Therefore, am I willing to make phone calls? Or am I willing to put myself in a position that I have inbound calls coming in? That's why I say do your marketing when you're motivated, get motivated, do your marketing, and then sit back and let the calls come in. And here's all you have to do. Josh, thanks for giving me a call. Tell me a little bit more about your situation. Oh, that's interesting. Tell me a little bit more about that. Oh, well, why would you say that? Oh, well, how did you arrive at that number? Oh, well, what else can you tell me about this?
Yep.
Just ask open-ended questions and shut up and see what people have to say on the phone.
Yeah, a lot of getting the information you need to make the right offer is about letting people talk. So often we get into these conversations and we want to be the dominant voice throughout the conversation. But what do you learn from that?
Right. Or we feel we need to be. We don't want to be, but like we feel like that I've got to talk and I've got to know all this stuff so that I can be the expert. No. Just so Taz asked a good question here. How many times a week do you make phone calls? Do you plan for different tasks each week? I make phone calls every single day.
Every day.
And I block time to do it. Be it for, I'm an active realtor. And so I call people and I say, hey, Josh, great to talk to you. How's the hard money business going? I have a stable of about, 300 to 400 people who I like to just reach out and touch base with. They're friends or family or business colleagues. And I just say, hey, Josh, also, if you're ever interested in buying or selling any real estate, let me know. I'd love to list anything for you. I can also scour the MLS to see if there's anything out there for you. What are you looking for? Yep. So that's the one thing that I do. The other thing that I make phone calls for is, when people reach out to me and call me about our property management services, I then also track them on a super sophisticated CRM service called a Google Sheets. And then I just follow up. And so I just, sometimes I make phone calls. Sometimes I send text messages. Sometimes I say, you know what, today I've got this new video that I just shot and I uploaded it onto YouTube and I'm going to get this link into 150 emails. And so I just email and copy and paste and send out 2 to 3 emails a minute, just with a quick note about what the last conversation was. Check out this recent video I did about how we're responding to this COVID situation. And, I shot a 2-minute video about, what we're doing with COVID. Or every time I have a new marketing flyer, hey, you're a client of ours, you were interested, but I'd really be interested in what you think about this marketing flyer. So there's all kinds of reasons and excuses you can come up with to get back in touch with people. So once somebody's on your list, if you're a real estate investor, hey, Josh, I know that I was interested in your Paul Meyer house, and you and I were interested in your Paul Meyer house back in March. Wasn't able to work anything out at that time. I'm actually going to be in the neighborhood on Wednesday. Would it be all right for me to swing by again and maybe continue our conversation? Well, if Josh says yes, he's still interested in selling me his house and he hasn't sold it to anybody else. If he tells me he sold it to somebody else, I cross him off my list. So when somebody's on your list, call them every 2 to 3 weeks.
I'd even say more than that. So here's the thing that people really don't understand is that when we say follow up, we're in a really polite culture, and like, you don't want to offend people. What you have to understand is that most people have busy lives, especially people that are going to be motivated to sell their homes. There's a reason that they are going to be willing to sell you their property at pennies on the dollar. They have other major life things that get in the way. Maybe they're going through a divorce. Maybe they have a drinking problem, and like, unless you catch them at the right time on the right day, it's not like they're not returning their calls, but they owe everybody and their brother money. And so they don't even check their voicemails. So you're leaving these voicemails and text message and everything else, and it gets lost in the malaise. So don't be ashamed to sit there and call them every single day until they pick up the phone and call you back, and send them a text message and email them and be in front of them.
Absolutely. So for the first 2 weeks, yes, absolutely. Until you get an answer. I agree with you. After that, you want to part on somewhat good terms. After you get a no, then I click into follow up every 2 to 3 weeks.
Sure.
If you got a definitive no on Monday, calling them and leaving them a voicemail on Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, so that they finally pick up the phone again on Friday, just so they can tell you a no again, it is a waste of your time and their time. So do what it takes initially to get them to a hard yes or a hard no.
Yeah.
Then incubate them, and in the motivated seller realm, every 2 weeks to 3 weeks is a good time period to stay top of mind. I would do every 2 weeks for a month or so, and then switch to every 3 to 4 weeks until they. I mean, the line I always use is until they buy, die, or file a restraining order. So until they buy from you or somebody else, or in this case, sell to you or somebody else.
Right.
Die or file a restraining order. Call them and politely say, just checking in, how's it going?
Right. I mean, they contacted you to begin with. That's the way to go.
Right. Listen, man, we are just over. Is there anything else you want to cover here? Yeah, Slate House Group, I mentioned too, we are a full service property management company. We are a modern real estate company. That is our motto and our mantra. And we would love to help you with be it buying any type of real estate, not just investment property, selling any type of real estate, not just investment property, and managing real estate, not any type of real estate, not just investment property. It could be your house that you're living in right now, and you want to move to Florida, and you're like, hey, will you guys work with me if I just have one house? Yes, absolutely.
Absolutely. All right. So my name's Josh Weidman. If you watch this long, you probably know that by now, but I'm a hard money lender right here in Central PA. My office is right outside of Hershey. We're a direct lender, which means that we can underwrite and approve your loan within a couple hours. And beyond that, once it's approved, we can close that loan within 24 hours, so long as the title work is done. So if you are looking to fund your next deal, whether it's a fix and flip, value add on a rental property, or a bridge loan or a short-term refinance, whatever the case might be, give me a call or shoot me an email. My number is 717-213-8488. Or you can email me at josh@hardmoneybankers.com. Don't forget to like and share our videos here. Whoops. We really appreciate you guys joining us every day and spending time, talking about real estate, commenting, and it's been really fun.
Absolutely, guys. We'll see you tomorrow at noon.
Awesome. See you tomorrow, guys. Take care.